wake up, check your bank account, and feel that familiar sinking feeling. Another month, another paycheck that barely stretches, while bills pile up, rent looms, and somehow you're still not ahead. You wonder why, despite working harder than ever, life feels like an endless treadmill running fast but going nowhere. You're not alone. Most people spend their entire lives chasing money as if it's some distant prize, blindly believing that wealth is just a number or a lucky break. But here's the shocking truth that few dare to tell you. Wealth begins in your mind long before it appears in your bank account. While 97% of people are trapped in cycles of scarcity, emotional spending, and paycheck-to-paycheck living, the 3% have discovered a mindset secret that changes everything. It's not luck, education, or connections. It's how you think, how you act, and how you grow every single day. It's a philosophy that transforms ordinary decisions into extraordinary outcomes. It's the invisible force that separates those who remain stuck from those who achieve financial freedom and lifelong independence. Imagine this. Every dollar you spend is either working for you or working against you. Every small action you take, reading, learning, saving, investing, compounds into results you might not see immediately but will feel profoundly in your future. Most people spend impulsively, giving their power away, while the wealthy make deliberate choices that multiply over time. And here's the kicker. You can start this today with what you have without waiting for a windfall or a promotion. In this video, I'm going to reveal how to think like the rich, start small but act intentionally, and develop daily habits that turn ordinary lives into extraordinary legacies. You'll learn why paying yourself first, spending with intention, tracking every dollar, and growing your value consistently is the real path to financial freedom. By the end, you'll see exactly why the masses stay broke, and how you can join the few who break free and build wealth, step by step, habit by habit. If you're ready to take control of your financial destiny, to finally stop chasing and start building, subscribe to Daily Spark Motivation so you don't miss any insights that will help you think bigger, act smarter, and create lasting freedom. Let's dive in, because the choices you make today will determine the life you live tomorrow. You see, most people spend their entire lives chasing money as if it's a distant prize waiting at the end of a long, winding road. They wake up every morning feeling trapped in a cycle that seems impossible to break. Paychecks come and go, bills pile up, and somehow, despite their best efforts, the financial freedom they dream of always feels just out of reach. They work harder, longer hours, and sacrifice time with family and themselves. Yet the gap between where they are and where they want to be never seems to shrink. And here's the truth that most people never confront. Wealth begins in the mind long before it appears in your bank account. While 97% of people are caught in this cycle of scarcity, struggle, and reactive living, there is a small group, let's call them the 3%, who understand a profound truth. Financial freedom is not about how much you make, it's about how you think, how you act, and how you grow every single day. These individuals don't rely on luck, they don't depend solely on education or connections, and they don't chase the latest get-rich-quick scheme. What separates them is a mindset, a philosophy about life, discipline, and personal value that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. They understand that wealth is not just a number. It's a reflection of their thinking, their habits, and the consistent actions they take to honor their future selves. So how do they think differently? How do they see what others cannot? It starts with understanding scarcity versus abundance. Most people are trapped in a scarcity mindset, seeing the world as a finite space where opportunities are limited, money is scarce, and someone else's success diminishes their own. Every decision is filtered through fear. Fear of not having enough, fear of missing out, fear of failure. That fear shapes how they spend, how they work, and even how they interact with others. Scarcity keeps them reactive. It keeps them in survival mode. It keeps them small. On the other hand, those who step into the 3% mindset embrace abundance. They see opportunities where others see obstacles. They understand that money, resources, and success are not zero-sum games. When one person succeeds, it doesn't take away from them. It expands the possibilities for everyone. Abundance is a choice, a lens through which to view the world that turns every challenge into a potential gain, every setback into a lesson, and every day into a chance to grow. It's a mindset that fosters creativity, risk-taking, and consistent action. And this is where most people miss the mark. Wealth is never about income alone. You can earn a six-figure salary and still live paycheck to paycheck. You can be highly educated and financially unstable. Why? Because wealth begins in how you handle what you already have, not in how much you receive. The 3% understand that financial success is built on discipline, foresight, and intentional action. They pay attention to the flow of money, they prioritize saving and investing, and they treat every dollar as a soldier working toward a greater mission. Take, for example, the principle of paying yourself first. Before you pay rent, utilities, groceries, or any other obligation, set aside a portion of your income for your future. It doesn't matter if it's 10%, 15%, or even just $1. The act of paying yourself first is not selfish, it's responsible. It's a declaration that your future is worth prioritizing. Most people wait until they have enough to start saving, but the truth is you don't need more to begin. Start with what you have, even if it's small. That small habit, repeated consistently, cultivates ownership, control, and the mindset of a wealth builder. Let's take a deeper look at why this works. Consider the psychology of habit formation. When you consistently invest in your future self, your brain begins to internalize that action. It becomes a part of your identity. You start to see yourself as someone who plans, who prioritizes, and who values long-term rewards over short-term gratification. And that shift in identity is what enables the 3% to maintain financial discipline even when life gets messy, when temptations arise, or when immediate needs seem urgent. Now, contrast that with the 97% who spend emotionally. They buy what feels good in the moment, a fancy coffee, the latest gadget, a night out with friends. These purchases offer temporary relief from stress or boredom, but the comfort is fleeting. When the money is gone, the stress returns and the cycle repeats. They live in reaction to their emotions, not in alignment with their long-term goals. This is why so many remain stuck, chasing fleeting highs rather than building sustainable wealth. Their money works for the moment, not for them, but the 3% approach money differently. They spend with intention. Every dollar has a purpose. Before any purchase, they ask, does this move me closer to my goals or does it pull me away? This simple question asked consistently transforms the way they manage money. Intentional spending is not just about financial control, it's about freedom, discipline, and clarity. It's the difference between living for the moment and building a future that aligns with your vision. Of course, it's not enough to merely think about money differently. Knowledge and systems are essential. The 3% track every dollar, not out of obsession but for empowerment. They maintain financial journals or use apps to log income, expenses, savings, and investments. Awareness creates accountability. When you know exactly where your money is going, you can make strategic adjustments. You see patterns in spending, identify opportunities to save or invest more, and avoid pitfalls before they happen. What gets tracked gets transformed. And this is where systems over discipline come into play. Relying solely on willpower is exhausting and inconsistent. Automation, automatic transfers to savings and investment accounts ensures consistency. Small amounts invested regularly compound over time, often in ways that exceed initial expectations. Even $1 a day, disciplined and consistent, becomes a powerful tool for long-term wealth. These systems allow individuals to focus their energy on creating value and developing skills, rather than micromanaging every dollar. Speaking of skills, value creation is another principle that sets the 3% apart. Time is finite and the market doesn't reward effort alone, it rewards value. Learning new skills, enhancing expertise, improving communication, and cultivating leadership multiplies earning potential far more than longer hours ever could. People don't pay for time, they pay for solutions, impact, and unique ability. By continuously investing in themselves, the 3% increase their worth exponentially and their money flows accordingly. Finally, the mindset of delayed gratification is critical. The wealthy understand that small sacrifices today, like skipping unnecessary purchases, investing instead of spending, or dedicating time to learning, create enormous freedom tomorrow. Like planting seeds in a garden, patience nurtures growth. Wealth is a long game built steadily, consistently, and intentionally. The 3% also understand the power of multiple income streams. Relying on a single paycheck is risky. Diversification provides stability and security. Side businesses, investments, royalties, and other income streams act as legs of a table, each supporting the financial foundation and ensuring resilience when one pillar falters. Combined with intentional spending, tracking, and continuous learning, these practices compound over time, creating the financial freedom and independence that most only dream of. The journey of financial transformation begins with a single decision: the decision to think differently about money, value, and your own potential. Most people never pause to ask themselves, why am I struggling financially? Why does it feel like no matter how hard I work, I can't get ahead? The answers are almost always hidden not in the economy, not in luck, not in education, but in the mindset we carry. A scarcity mindset convinces you that opportunities are limited, that you don't deserve more, that wealth is reserved for others. And when you live through that lens, every dollar is spent under stress, every choice is reactive, and every step forward feels like a battle uphill. Contrast that with the 3%, those who understand that wealth is a reflection of thought and action, not just a figure on a bank statement. They see money as a tool, a vehicle for freedom, not a reward for survival. Their daily choices are deliberate, their habits intentional, and their vision clear. When they receive a paycheck, the first thing they do is pay themselves. Not their bills, not their lifestyle, not their desires, but their future self. This is the first law of wealth that few ever practice consistently. Pay yourself first because it sets the tone for discipline, control, and compounding results. Let's be real, most people think they can't save because their income is too small. The 3% don't see money this way. Whether it's $1, $10, or $50, the principle is the same. It's not the amount, it's the habit, the discipline, and the mindset behind it. Every dollar put aside becomes a worker on your team, each contributing silently toward freedom, opportunities, and options you didn't have yesterday. It's astonishing how such a small, almost insignificant action repeated daily can redefine your relationship with money and, ultimately, your life. This habit of paying yourself first naturally leads to intentional spending. While the 97% are caught in cycles of emotional buying, fancy coffees, impulse gadgets, nights out to escape stress, the 3% pause and evaluate. Every purchase is measured against long-term goals. Will this bring me closer to freedom or just provide fleeting comfort? The clarity this simple practice provides creates mental space, financial control, and a sense of mastery. Over time, these small, deliberate decisions create compounding results that far outpace short-term gratification. But mindset alone isn't enough. The 3% supplement their thinking with systems and tracking. If you don't know where your money goes, you cannot control it. Many live paycheck to paycheck simply because they don't measure their finances. Guesswork, hope, and blind trust in circumstance replace clarity. A simple financial journal, tracking income, expenses, savings, and investments is transformative. What gets tracked gets transformed. The first few weeks are uncomfortable, revealing habits that were invisible, subscriptions unnoticed, impulsive purchases, or even patterns of overspending. But awareness is power. Awareness gives you the ability to course-correct, to redirect funds from fleeting pleasures into building wealth. Automation is another powerful tool. The 3% don't rely solely on willpower, they design systems. Automatic transfers to savings and investment accounts remove the need for constant decision-making. Small, consistent contributions grow over time. Dollar-cost averaging into investments makes wealth building habitual, not emotional. Just like planting seeds in a garden, regular, disciplined investments grow quietly but exponentially. Motivation may waver, life may distract, but the system remains. This is why systems beat raw discipline every time. The wealthy create mechanical processes that work for them, freeing their energy for value creation and skill development. And here's where the concept of value over effort comes into play. Working longer hours does not equal building wealth. Time is finite, and the market rewards value creation, not time spent. Learning skills that solve problems, improve processes, or create impact multiplies income potential. Communication, leadership, financial literacy, sales, and negotiation skills compound like investments. Each hour dedicated to skill development increases the rate of return on your life. Effort is meaningless without leverage. Value is the currency of influence, opportunity, and wealth. The 3% understand this principle deeply, become valuable, and money will follow naturally. Consistency is the engine that drives all of this. Small habits, when repeated daily, compound into extraordinary outcomes. Reading 10 pages of a finance book, investing a modest amount, tracking spending, automating savings, all may feel minor at the moment. Yet over months and years, these small disciplines reshape your financial trajectory. It's the compounding principle applied to money, mindset, and action. It's the quiet power behind exponential growth. But wealth isn't just numbers, it's freedom, options, and resilience. Multiple income streams safeguard against uncertainty. Relying on a single paycheck leaves you exposed to economic shifts and life's unpredictability. The wealthy diversify, Job income, side businesses, investments, royalties, and other streams all contribute to stability. Starting small is key. Build one pillar today, another next month. Over time, these pillars create a secure foundation capable of withstanding challenges. Education, both formal and self-directed, is central. School teaches survival, self-education teaches mastery. Reading, listening to experts, and observing successful individuals cultivates a mindset that sees opportunities and understands strategy. The 97% consume distraction. The 3% consume knowledge. What you feed your mind directly impacts the decisions you make, the risks you take, and the wealth you create. Daily learning compounds just like money, producing exponential returns in thinking and action. Goals transform abstract dreams into actionable steps. Without specificity, effort scatters. With clarity, every action gains purpose. The 3% write down goals, assign deadlines, and connect them to deep motivations, freedom. Legacy, family, or self-actualization. Breaking big goals into daily actionable steps builds momentum, turning intention into reality. Reviewing goals each morning aligns mindset and actions, focusing attention on what matters most. Finally, wealth becomes meaningful only when it's shared and multiplied through teaching and mentorship. Accountability, transparency, and community amplify impact. Teaching financial principles to others or mentoring someone creates ripples beyond personal gain. Wealth is no longer just a number, it becomes a culture, a value system, a legacy. The act of sharing reinforces discipline, deepens understanding, and builds a foundation that outlives a single lifetime. The 3% act differently not because they earn more, but because they think differently, act intentionally, and build systems. They delay gratification, prioritize the future, and view every dollar as a tool toward freedom. They consistently invest in themselves and their financial knowledge. They track, automate, and scale habits. And over time, these small, deliberate daily choices transform ordinary lives into extraordinary legacies. Now, ask yourself, where do you stand today? Are you living for fleeting pleasures, lost in the 97% who react emotionally to money? Or will you step into the mindset of the 3%, think big, start small, and act intentionally to build wealth that lasts? Today is the day to pay yourself first, to track every dollar, to learn, invest, and grow. Every choice you make compounds into the life you will live tomorrow. If part 1 taught you that wealth begins in the mind, then part 2 shows you how to turn that mindset into action. Because thinking like the rich is one thing, but acting like the rich is where the transformation begins. And the first law of this transformation is deceptively simple: pay yourself first. At first, it sounds almost too simple to be true. Pay yourself before the bills, before the rent, before the groceries, before even the small indulgences that make life feel a little easier. Most people caught in the grind do the exact opposite. They pay everyone else first: the landlord, the utility company, the coffee shop, and whatever remains, if anything, is what they allow themselves to save. And 9 times out of 10, that remainder disappears. You're left with nothing, and the cycle continues. But what does it mean to pay yourself first? It's not about hoarding money or selfishly putting your needs above those of your family. It's about honoring your future self, recognizing that the choices you make today directly shape the life you'll live tomorrow. When you pay yourself first, you establish discipline, control, and intention. You take ownership of your financial journey. You tell your money where it should go instead of wondering where it went. And that simple act becomes the foundation for every other habit that follows. Imagine this: you get your paycheck. It's not $1 million, it might not even feel like enough. Maybe it's $500 for the week. Most people take that money and immediately subtract bills, groceries, gas, and the small pleasures that make life bearable. By the time they're done, there's little or nothing left to save. And the thought of investing or building a future feels impossible. But the wealthy, the 3%, flip the equation. They subtract for themselves first. They set aside a portion, often 10 or 15%, and only then allow the rest to cover living expenses. I remember sitting at a tiny kitchen table early in my career with just a few dollars left and far too many bills. I felt powerless, trapped in a cycle I didn't understand. My mentor leaned over and said something that changed everything: don't wait to have more, start with what you have. That advice seemed almost laughable at the time. $1 out of $10, how could that matter? But it did. That small action taught me ownership. It taught me that even the smallest commitment to myself could reshape my financial destiny. And the principle is the same for everyone, no matter the income. Start small but start consistently. Whether it's $1, $5, or $50, the act of paying yourself first compounds over time. Like seeds planted in fertile soil, each contribution grows. And more importantly, it trains your mind to value your future self over temporary gratification. Because let's be honest, one of the reasons most people struggle financially is emotional spending. We buy what feels good in the moment, a fancy coffee, a new gadget, a night out, without considering whether it serves our long-term goals. And the relief it provides is fleeting. The pleasure is temporary, but the consequences can linger for months or even years. When you adopt the habit of paying yourself first, you learn to pause before spending, to evaluate whether a purchase contributes to your freedom or simply provides temporary comfort. This habit doesn't just affect your bank account, it transforms your relationship with money. You begin to see money not as something to be feared, chased, or spent impulsively, but as a tool. Every dollar becomes a worker, marching toward your goals, executing your plan, and creating leverage. When you pay yourself first, every choice is intentional, and every action is aligned with building long-term wealth and freedom. Let's talk about practical steps you can take today. First, calculate a percentage of your income to set aside for savings or investments. Even if it's only 5% for now, commit to it. Automate the transfer if possible. Treat it as non-negotiable. This habit ensures that you are consistently building for the future without relying solely on willpower. Small, repeated actions like this create a snowball effect. $1 turns into 5, 5 into 50, and over time the habit itself generates results. Next, track your spending meticulously. The 3% are meticulous about where their money goes, not because they want to micromanage, but because clarity breeds control. When you know exactly how much you earn, how much you spend, and how much you save or invest, you eliminate guesswork. You prevent wasted money from slipping through your fingers. A simple notebook, spreadsheet, or budgeting app can make a huge difference. What gets tracked gets transformed. Another essential principle is delayed gratification. Wealth is not built on impulsive decisions. The rich learn to postpone immediate pleasure for future reward. That $300 you save by skipping a night out isn't just a dollar. It's a seed for investments, education, or business opportunities. Compound interest works silently and consistently, just like small habits. Each dollar saved or invested builds momentum, gradually expanding your options, your freedom, and your control over life. But money isn't only about saving, it's about investing in yourself. Education, skills, and knowledge compound just like money. When you invest in your skills, you increase your value in the marketplace. Communication, leadership, sales, and financial literacy create leverage, opening doors to opportunities that didn't exist before. Effort alone doesn't pay, you must create value. The more value you bring, the more resources will follow. The 3% understand this principle: wealth follows value, not hours worked. Now, let's extend this principle further. Build multiple income streams. One paycheck is fragile. A side hustle, investments, royalties, or small business ventures diversify your income, providing stability and security. Even small beginnings matter. Consistency compounds wealth. This multi-pillar approach ensures resilience against setbacks and allows you to navigate life with freedom. Finally, remember that wealth is not a solo journey. Sharing knowledge, mentoring others, and teaching financial principles amplifies your success. Accountability and community create feedback loops that reinforce habits. When you involve others in your journey, your discipline strengthens and the impact multiplies. Wealth is not just a number, it's a culture, a mindset, and a legacy. Start today. Pay yourself first, track every dollar, invest consistently, and build value. Small actions, repeated daily, lead to exponential growth. Financial freedom is not a dream reserved for the lucky. It's the result of intentional thinking and deliberate action. The 3% mindset is accessible to anyone willing to start, no matter their income level, location, or circumstances. Your journey begins with one choice. Decide today to think differently, act intentionally, and honor your future self. That single act is the first brick in the foundation of financial freedom. Start small, start consistent, start now. Money, for most people, it's a constant source of stress, a never-ending chase that seems to drain rather than empower. After working long hours, we earn our paycheck, breathe a sigh of relief, and immediately hand it over to obligations and temptations. Rent, utilities, groceries, streaming subscriptions, coffee runs, that new gadget that everyone else has, the list is endless. By the end of the week, the money is gone and the feeling of security never arrives. Many live paycheck to paycheck, trapped in a cycle they don't fully understand. Here's the truth: most people spend emotionally, not intentionally. They buy what feels good in the moment, chasing temporary highs and relief from stress or boredom. That $7 latte isn't just a coffee, it's a fleeting escape. That new phone isn't just a device, it's a badge of belonging. That night out isn't just fun, it's an attempt to fill an internal void. And when the moment passes, the money is gone, the relief evaporates, and the cycle begins again. Emotional spending creates a loop that keeps people in the 97%, living reactively instead of proactively. Now let's contrast this with the mindset of the 3%. The wealthy, the ones who escape the paycheck-to-paycheck trap, spend with intention. Every dollar is a decision. Every purchase is evaluated for its return. Does this move me closer to freedom? Or does it only provide temporary comfort? The 3% see money as a tool, a soldier marching toward a goal rather than a fleeting reward to be consumed instantly. When a 3% spender considers a purchase, they pause and ask, will this expense build my future, or will it simply disappear into the wind? This is the first, most powerful lesson in spending with intention. Pause before you spend. Make it a habit. One small question, asked consistently, can change your financial trajectory. By the end of the year, those small pauses compound into hundreds or even thousands of dollars redirected towards savings, investments, or growth. And this isn't about depriving yourself. It's about aligning every dollar with your long-term goals. Here's an example many can relate to. Imagine it's Friday evening. You've had a rough week, and the temptation to grab a fancy dinner, go to the movies, or buy something fun is strong. Most people give in without a second thought. The 3%, they ask themselves a single question: will this purchase bring me closer to my financial goals, or will it take me further away? That pause creates control. That pause builds wealth. That pause turns reactive spending into intentional investment in their future. The principle of intentional spending extends beyond immediate purchases. It's about habits. How do you treat recurring expenses, subscriptions, daily indulgences? Every dollar spent unconsciously adds up over weeks, months, and years. The wealthy examine patterns, cut what doesn't serve them, and redirect those funds toward investments, savings, or skill building. Small, repeated changes compound dramatically over time. This is how micro habits turn ordinary people into financial 3%ers. Another key element is delayed gratification. Wealth is not built on instant pleasure but on patience and foresight. Like planting seeds, the rich understand that the benefits of disciplined spending grow over time. Skipping the immediate desire for a new gadget, a night out, or a luxury coffee might feel like sacrifice today. But those dollars are instead working silently for you, generating compounded returns in investments, business growth, or personal development. This principle separates the wealthy from those stuck in the reactive 97%. But intentional spending isn't just about control, it's about clarity and empowerment. When you spend intentionally, you regain control of your life. You start thinking strategically. Every dollar is a choice. Every choice is a statement of your values. Every habit reinforces your identity. Do you want to be someone who drifts from paycheck to paycheck, or someone who shapes their future deliberately, consistently, and consciously? The answer lies in every decision you make with your money. And here's the reality that shocks most people: you don't need more to start spending intentionally. You can begin today with whatever resources you have. Even the smallest decisions, saving $1, skipping one coffee, choosing to cook at home instead of ordering out, set a precedent. These micro choices train your brain to value the future over the instant, to prioritize your goals over fleeting comfort. Over weeks and months, these choices compound. That $1 saved today is $365 in a year. That extra effort compounds even further when you invest it wisely. Let's talk about tracking. Intentional spending requires awareness. You cannot control what you do not measure. A simple practice is to record every expense for a week. Categorize it, review it, identify emotional spending versus strategic spending. Awareness is the first step toward mastery. Once you see the patterns, you can redirect money from transient desires to investment, savings, or business ventures. Knowledge plus clarity equals power. Now let's add a practical daily exercise: the intentional spending pause. Before any non-essential purchase, take 30 seconds to evaluate. Does this align with my goal? Does it serve my future self? Could I redirect this to create freedom later? Simple, consistent. Daily reflection like this builds automatic wealth-oriented habits. Over time, it rewires your mind from scarcity-driven impulses to abundance-oriented strategy. And don't underestimate the emotional component. Most spending mistakes are fueled by fear, boredom, or social pressure. The wealthy confront these emotions head-on. They pause, reflect, and act deliberately. They understand that emotional spending provides temporary relief, but intentional spending builds permanent security. This shift from reactive to deliberate is a hallmark of the 3% mindset. Consider the long-term impact. Each intentional purchase compounds like an investment. Skipping a $1.10 lunch every day and redirecting it to savings creates hundreds over a month. Repeating this habit across categories, entertainment, gadgets, dining, creates thousands in annual savings, redirected consistently into investments. The growth is exponential, powered by compounding interest. Small daily choices become monumental results over time. Finally, intentional spending reinforces self-discipline, clarity, and vision. It aligns your daily actions with your long-term goals. It transforms your relationship with money from reactive to proactive. It empowers you to make conscious decisions, not be ruled by impulses. And as you consistently practice these habits, you'll notice freedom. Freedom from financial stress, freedom to pursue opportunities, and freedom to shape the life you want. The core lesson of this section is simple but profound. Most people spend emotionally and remain trapped, but you can choose to spend intentionally and join the 3% who build real wealth. Daily reflection, tracking, small sacrifices, and deliberate investments transform not just your finances, but your mindset and ultimately your life trajectory. If Part 3 taught you the power of spending with intention, Part 4 reveals the foundation that makes that intention effective: clarity. Without clear visibility into your finances, even the smartest decisions falter. Awareness is the secret weapon of the 3%. It is the difference between wandering through life like a ship without a compass and navigating with precision toward freedom and opportunity. Most people have no idea where their money goes. A paycheck comes in. Bills are paid, credit card balances rise, subscriptions multiply, and somehow at the end of the month there's never enough. They think they are tracking their finances, but in reality they are flying blind. Guesswork, hope, and impulsive decisions dictate their lives. They remain trapped in the 97%, a cycle of scarcity, stress, and frustration. But the wealthy, the 3%, understand that knowledge is power and awareness creates freedom. They do not guess. They do not hope. They track, measure, and evaluate everything. Every dollar is accounted for, every expenditure has a purpose, and every income source is allocated strategically. This clarity allows them to make decisions with confidence, remove waste, and maximize growth opportunities. Awareness is the lens that brings intention into focus. So how does one build clarity? Start with a financial journal or tracking system, whether it's a notebook, spreadsheet, or app. Begin by recording every dollar that comes in and goes out. This includes income, bills, discretionary spending, savings, and investments. At first, the exercise may feel tedious, even uncomfortable. You might be shocked at how much you've spent without noticing, how much you've allocated to fleeting pleasures instead of building wealth. But discomfort is temporary, clarity is permanent. One of the most powerful lessons I learned early on was that what gets measured gets transformed. When I began logging every expense, I saw patterns I had never noticed. Late-night online shopping sprees, multiple takeout meals, small impulse purchases, each seemed minor at the moment but collectively eroded my financial stability. Seeing it all in black and white was humbling, but it empowered me. It gave me the knowledge to course-correct, to redirect funds towards savings, investments, and opportunities that actually built my future. And awareness isn't just about past spending, it's about intentional planning for the future. The 3% allocate funds with purpose. They assign money to savings, investments, emergency funds, and opportunities for growth before spending on anything else. They build a system that ensures their financial priorities are met, without relying on fluctuating willpower or emotional decision-making. This system transforms money from a source of stress into a tool of empowerment. Here's a practical exercise you can begin today: the weekly money audit. Spend 30 minutes each week reviewing all income, expenses, and financial goals. Categorize spending, identify patterns of emotional or wasteful expenditures, and plan adjustments. Even small insights compound. A $5 daily habit of logging expenses turns into actionable awareness that can save hundreds or even thousands of dollars over time. The key is consistency. Clarity is only powerful when maintained. Automation is another pillar of clarity. Set up automatic transfers to savings or investment accounts. Pay yourself first without relying on memory or discipline alone. Let systems handle the mundane, repetitive tasks so that your energy is freed for value creation, skill building, and intentional decision making. Automation ensures that your financial priorities are protected even on days when willpower is low or distractions are high. But clarity is more than numbers, it's about mental alignment. When you track, you begin to understand your habits, your patterns, and your triggers. Emotional spending, procrastination in investments, or impulsive choices become visible. Awareness allows you to intervene before poor habits dictate your outcomes. It's the bridge between intention and action. When you see clearly, you can act decisively, and when you act decisively, momentum builds. The emotional impact of clarity cannot be overstated. Imagine the relief of knowing exactly where every dollar goes, understanding the trajectory of your investments, and seeing your progress toward long-term goals. This is not theoretical, it's tangible, measurable empowerment. The 97% live in uncertainty, the 3% live in confidence, control, and intentionality. This is the difference between being a passive observer of your life and an active architect of your financial destiny. Clarity also multiplies discipline. When you know where you stand. When every number is accounted for, sticking to good habits becomes easier. Tracking creates feedback loops. You see progress, you notice mistakes, you adjust, and you grow. It turns abstract concepts like saving or investing into measurable, actionable steps. This is where habits compound, not in isolation, but within a system of awareness, measurement, and reflection. Let's also consider goal alignment. When your finances are clear, every decision aligns with your objectives. Do you want financial freedom, early retirement, or a business that sustains your family? Clarity ensures that daily choices support these goals rather than detract from them. Every dollar, every decision, every habit becomes a deliberate step toward the life you envision. And here's a point that often shocks people. Clarity transforms fear into empowerment. Financial uncertainty creates stress, anxiety, and reactive decisions. Awareness replaces doubt with strategic insight. You no longer fear the unexpected because you know where your money is, how your resources are allocated, and what levers you can pull to adjust. Control breeds confidence, and confidence breeds opportunities. To bring this to a daily practice, here's an activity: daily financial reflection. Each evening, spend 10 minutes reviewing your spending for the day. Ask yourself, did every dollar serve my goals? Was I intentional, or did I act impulsively? Small adjustments compounded daily create behavioral momentum, training your mind to act in alignment with long-term wealth creation. Awareness also allows for strategic risk-taking. Once you understand your finances, you can make calculated investments or entrepreneurial moves without the paralyzing fear that comes from uncertainty. The 3% are not reckless, they are informed. They take measured risks based on data, clarity, and understanding, not on hope or emotion. This is what separates passive earners from true wealth builders. In essence, Part 4 emphasizes that tracking and clarity are the lenses through which all other financial principles become actionable. Intentional spending, paying yourself first, investing in value all require awareness. Without clarity, these habits are inconsistent and easily derailed. With clarity, every action is purposeful, every habit reinforced, and every decision aligned with long-term objectives. Awareness also compounds with other aspects of wealth building. As you track spending, automate investments, and review goals, your financial education deepens. You notice trends, identify opportunities, and develop foresight. Knowledge and action reinforce each other. This synergy creates exponential growth in your mindset, your confidence, and your results. Finally, the emotional takeaway: clarity frees you. When you know where your money is going and why, stress decreases, control increases, and opportunities multiply. The 97% remain stressed and reactive. The 3% move forward with calm, confident purpose. They understand that money is not luck but a tool that works only when wielded with awareness, discipline, and intention. Key takeaway for daily practice: track, measure, and reflect. Create systems that ensure automatic saving and investing. Align every dollar with your long-term goals. Small actions repeated consistently build clarity, discipline, and momentum. Over time, these habits transform financial chaos into freedom, control, and opportunity. In Part 4, we discovered the power of clarity and tracking, the awareness that transforms reactive financial habits into intentional action. Now we take the next step, understanding that money follows value, not effort. You could work every hour of the day, sacrifice sleep, and grind endlessly, yet remain financially stagnant. Why? Because time alone is not the currency of success. What the world truly rewards is value, the ability to solve problems, create opportunities, and deliver results that others cannot. Most people think effort equals results. They believe if they simply work longer, the money, success, and freedom will automatically follow. But experience and the reality of the 3% tells a different story. The 97% spend decades punching the clock, focusing on hours rather than outcomes, only to realize that their earnings plateaued and their time was consumed with tasks anyone could perform. Meanwhile, the 3% focus on becoming irreplaceable, indispensable, and valuable. They understand that the world rewards people who can offer something unique, useful, and impactful. Consider this: if you spend 10 hours doing a task that anyone could do, the value you create is minimal. But if you spend 10 hours mastering a skill that very few possess, your output, influence, and income potential multiply. The difference isn't effort, it's leverage. This is the secret principle of value creation. Focus on developing skills that compound your impact, not just your time. So how do you begin creating value? The first step is self-investment. This doesn't necessarily mean buying expensive courses or attending seminars, though those help. It starts with deliberate daily learning. Dedicate even 15 minutes a day to a new skill that aligns with your goals: communication, leadership, sales, technology, or financial literacy. The 3% understand that every skill learned adds to their arsenal, making them more capable of creating impact, solving problems, and producing value that others will pay for. Here's an example. Think of a young professional who spends hours working in an office performing tasks as instructed. Their paycheck reflects effort, but nothing extraordinary. Now imagine the same professional dedicates a small portion of each day to mastering persuasive communication, learning project management, or improving analytical thinking. Within months, their ability to contribute meaningful results surpasses that of their peers. When opportunities arise, they are chosen, promoted, and trusted because their value exceeds the routine output of time. This principle extends beyond corporate walls. Entrepreneurs, freelancers, and creators follow the same law. Every hour invested in building a skill that others lack compounds into influence, income, and opportunity. Each new ability amplifies the effect of your previous skills, creating exponential growth. The key is consistent, intentional, and strategic effort. Small, deliberate actions that over time create extraordinary leverage. But developing skills is only part of the equation. The 3% pair skill development with problem solving and value delivery. Skills alone mean nothing if they are not applied to solve meaningful problems. Think about your daily life and work. What are the pain points others face? How can you use your growing skills to provide solutions they can't find elsewhere? When you align your capabilities with meaningful problems, you produce value that is monetizable, scalable, and impactful. Let's take a practical step. Every day, identify one area where your effort can create outsized value. It could be improving a process at work, teaching a skill to a colleague, or developing content that solves a common problem. Spend at least 30 minutes focused entirely on this high-impact activity. Over time, this small but consistent focus compounds into significant results. Another dimension of value creation is self-awareness. The 3% know their strengths, weaknesses, and unique abilities. They align their efforts with areas where their skills produce the greatest return. In contrast, the 97% often spread themselves thin, working on tasks they are mediocre at, or worse, tasks anyone else could do. Identifying where you can be exceptional allows you to leverage your time and energy most effectively. Emotional intelligence also plays a role. Effective communication, empathy, and leadership increase your value beyond technical skills. People want to work with, invest in, and trust those who not only produce results but also navigate relationships, inspire teams, and create environments of collaboration. The 3% focus on both hard skills and soft skills, understanding that value is holistic, not one-dimensional. Let's pause to talk about habit formation. Skills don't develop overnight. Mastery comes from daily, incremental improvement. Reading 10 pages of a business book, practicing a negotiation scenario, or spending 15 minutes improving a software skill might seem trivial day to day. But these micro actions compound. Just like money in a well-managed investment account, skills grow exponentially when nurtured consistently. Now think about your time. If you dedicate 5 hours a week to deliberate skill development over a year, that's over 250 hours. Over 5 years. More than 200 hours. What if that time were spent on random tasks or low-value distractions? The results would be negligible. This is why time invested in skill growth is the most powerful lever in life. The more skills you acquire and apply, the more doors open and the more opportunities become available. The 3% also understand value creation requires patience and persistence. The payoff is rarely immediate. Skills, knowledge, and expertise compound over months and years. It's easy to feel discouraged when results don't appear instantly. But the difference between the 97% and the 3% lies in long-term vision. They continue building, learning, and applying value even when short-term returns are unseen. This persistent action, repeated daily, is the engine of wealth creation. Practical exercises to implement immediately. Daily skill micro-session. Dedicate 15-30 minutes daily to improve a skill that amplifies your value. Problem-solving action. Identify a recurring problem and create a small solution daily. Value reflection journal. Write down at the end of each day how you created value, noting areas of improvement. Skill application challenge. Apply at least one learned skill per day to produce tangible results. The emotional impact of value creation is profound. Each day you act intentionally, learning and applying skills, your confidence grows, your decision-making sharpens, and your financial and personal opportunities expand. You begin to feel in control of your life, empowered to shape outcomes rather than react to circumstances. Finally, remember that value creation is compounded with the principles of the previous parts: clarity in spending, paying yourself first, tracking, and mindset. The combination of these habits creates a self-reinforcing cycle where financial awareness, disciplined action, and skill development amplify each other. One habit strengthens the next, creating a trajectory toward wealth, freedom, and personal mastery. If Part 5 taught you that value creation is the true engine of wealth, Part 6 reveals how the 3% make that engine run effortlessly, consistently, and predictably. The secret is simple: systems over discipline. Discipline is powerful, but it is unreliable. Willpower fluctuates, motivation wanes, and life throws unexpected challenges at you. Systems, however, are consistent, automatic, and immune to moods or circumstances. Most people rely entirely on discipline. They tell themselves, "I'll save this month, I'll invest next month, I'll start tracking tomorrow." And too often, tomorrow never comes. They rely on determination and reminders, both of which are fickle. Motivation fades, distractions appear, and soon months or even years pass with no progress. That's why the 97% remain stuck in the same cycle: inconsistent habits, reactive choices, and unpredictable financial outcomes. The 3% understand a critical principle: discipline is finite, systems are infinite. Discipline is the spark, systems are the engine. One moment of willpower can start an action, but it takes a structured system to sustain growth over time. By designing automatic processes for savings, investments, tracking, and skill development, they remove reliance on fragile motivation and create a predictable path toward wealth. Take saving, for example. The 97% wait until the end of the month, hoping they have enough left to put aside. The 3% automate it. Before they see their paycheck, a portion is automatically transferred into a savings or investment account. This simple, automated action ensures consistency without effort. Every payday money is invested, money is saved, and their future self is honored. Without thinking, without reminding, without negotiation. Investing follows the same principle. Rather than trying to time the market, predict trends, or rely on emotion, the 3% use systematic, regular investments, small, consistent contributions that compound quietly and powerfully over time. This is the essence of financial automation, removing the guesswork and the emotional impulses that derail the majority. By the time motivation or discipline might fail, the system has already acted, and progress continues silently in the background. Tracking and clarity, introduced in Part 4, are amplified by systems. Financial software, budgeting apps, spreadsheets, and automatic alerts allow consistent monitoring of income, expenses, and investments. This eliminates the reliance on memory or effort. Awareness becomes automated. Patterns emerge without the need for constant conscious effort. When the 3% look at their finances, they see actionable data, not chaos. They can make strategic adjustments quickly, knowing that their systems are capturing the truth of their financial flow. The principle of systems over discipline extends beyond money. It applies to skill building, time management, and personal development. The 3% automate learning. They schedule daily reading, skill practice, and reflection. They create routines that cultivate knowledge and habits without relying on daily motivation. One small, consistent action every day, whether it's 10 minutes of financial reading, 15 minutes of practicing a skill, or journaling insights, becomes unstoppable momentum over weeks and months. Consider the compounding effect. A habit that takes 10 minutes today, repeated daily for a year, amounts to over 60 hours of focused effort. Over 5 years, more than 300 hours. Time spent strategically becomes value built into your life, and when supported by systems, it grows without conscious struggle. Discipline alone cannot achieve this consistency. Motivation alone cannot create this momentum. Systems make the ordinary extraordinary. Automation also protects against human error and emotion. The 97% spend emotionally, reacting to stress, boredom, or social pressure. Systems remove the temptation to react impulsively. Automatic transfers, scheduled bill payments, and pre-planned investments act as guardrails. Even on stressful days, even when distractions are intense, the system ensures progress continues. It turns small daily actions into reliable growth. But here's the critical mindset shift. Building systems doesn't replace thinking, it amplifies your strategic decisions. You still choose your allocation of resources, your priorities, and your goals. What systems do is free your energy, so you can focus on high-impact activities. By automating routine financial decisions, you can spend more time creating value, developing skills, and identifying opportunities, the areas that truly compound wealth. Practical exercises to implement systems immediately. Automate savings and investments. Set up automatic transfers on payday to savings or investment accounts. Even small amounts matter. Automated expense tracking. Use apps or spreadsheets to monitor spending automatically. Review weekly for insights. Scheduled learning block. 15-30 minutes daily for skill development, reading, or financial education. Recurring goal reviews. Weekly reflection sessions to assess progress, adjust strategies, and refine priorities. The emotional impact of systems is profound. They reduce stress, increase predictability, and create freedom. You stop worrying about missing a payment, neglecting an investment, or forgetting a habit. You know the system is working for you. And this sense of control frees your mind to focus on growth, value creation, and opportunity. Ultimately, the 3% understand that wealth is built quietly, consistently, and deliberately. They don't wait for a perfect day, a surge of motivation, or a miracle windfall. They set up systems that ensure reliable daily progress, no matter how busy, tired, or distracted life becomes. These systems transform inconsistent effort into exponential results, turning ordinary actions into extraordinary outcomes over time. Systems over discipline is not just a principle, it's a philosophy. Design your life so that success happens automatically, even when your motivation falters. Small intentional daily actions, once automated, compound, creating momentum, stability, and freedom. This is the blueprint the 3% follow. Consistent habits amplified by intelligent systems, powered by intentional value creation. Every dollar you save, every hour you invest in learning, every skill you practice quietly compounds over time. It doesn't happen overnight and it isn't flashy, but it is unstoppable once momentum builds. This is the principle that separates those who struggle from those who build lasting wealth. It is the quiet magic of compounding, applied not just to money, but to knowledge, skills, and decisions. Consider a simple but profound truth. A small action taken consistently each day is more powerful than a grand gesture done once. Reading 10 pages of a book on finance might feel insignificant today. Investing $10 in a low-cost index fund might seem trivial. Practicing a skill for 15 minutes may appear minor. Yet when repeated daily, the effects accumulate exponentially. The 3% understand this principle instinctively. They know that small, consistent efforts multiply over time, creating results that far exceed what the untrained eye expects. Let's bring this into the context of money. The 97% often seek shortcuts, lottery tickets, risky investments, or get-rich-quick schemes. They want immediate gratification. When it doesn't arrive, they give up, frustrated by the slow pace of progress. Meanwhile, the 3% follow simple, repeated actions, automatic investments, monthly contributions to retirement accounts, or setting aside small amounts for growth. The result: over months and years, those small amounts grow into substantial wealth thanks to compound interest. The key is consistency, not the size of the action. A single $1 invested daily grows far beyond a one-time $100 donation spent recklessly. But knowledge compounds in the same way. Most people consume entertainment, distractions, and passive content. They are passive observers in the world of information. The wealthy, however, spend their time deliberately feeding their minds with value-driven knowledge. A short daily habit of reading, listening to a financial podcast, or studying a new skill transforms the mind. That knowledge accumulates silently, building decision-making ability, problem-solving capacity, and strategic thinking. Imagine two individuals. One spends 30 minutes a day reading about business strategies, financial principles, or leadership. The other spends 30 minutes scrolling social media. After 1 month, the difference is small, almost invisible. After 1 year, the reader has absorbed over 180 hours of knowledge that can be applied to creating value, making investments, and enhancing earning potential. The scroller, meanwhile, gains temporary entertainment but no real leverage or lasting benefit. Over 5 years, the gap becomes immense. Compounding works quietly but relentlessly. Here's the emotional truth: compounding teaches patience and perspective. Wealth is rarely a dramatic, overnight occurrence. Knowledge, skill, and financial growth are slow and steady, invisible at first yet unstoppable once the habit is formed. Those who understand this principle build resilience and avoid the traps of impatience. They understand that every small effort made today multiplies tomorrow, and that consistent action, however modest, is far more powerful than sporadic bursts of effort. Let's explore this in real-life application. Start with a daily investment in yourself, whether money or time. Set aside a fixed small sum like $5, $10 to invest in learning materials, online courses, or books. Every day, dedicate a short time block, even 10-15 minutes, to study, practice, or refine a skill. The amount is less important than the repetition and consistency. Over months, those small increments create momentum, and over years, they result in expertise, confidence, and financial leverage. Compounding also works in combination. Money invested builds wealth, knowledge gained increases value creation, skills practiced enhance productivity. When applied together, the effect is exponential. For example, learning to invest wisely while also developing professional skills and tracking savings creates a self-reinforcing cycle. Each action feeds the next. Knowledge informs decisions, decisions build wealth, wealth funds more learning, and learning further expands earning potential. The 3% understand this cycle intimately. They don't separate money, skills, or learning, they integrate them into a daily compounding ecosystem. Another layer is decision compounding. Each choice: what to spend, how to invest, which skill to develop, which opportunity to seize, compounds over time. Poor decisions, repeated, erode progress. Wise decisions, repeated, amplify results. This is why the wealthy are intentional in every micro-decision. They ask, will this action build my future or simply gratify a fleeting desire? Repeated consistently, this approach compounds opportunities, freedom, and resilience. Consider the psychological impact of compounding habits. Small daily successes, logging expenses, saving $1, reading 10 pages, practicing a skill, create a sense of accomplishment. That feeling motivates continued action, reinforcing the habit. Momentum builds, confidence grows, and the mind adapts to thinking in terms of growth and investment rather than immediate gratification. Habits compound not only financially, but psychologically, creating a mindset aligned with abundance and foresight. Let's also examine the cultural relevance. In American hustle culture, the pressure to perform, to work long hours, and to produce immediate results is immense. Many chase rapid gains, impatient for success, frustrated when the grind doesn't yield instant rewards. Compounding teaches a counterintuitive lesson. Slow, steady, intentional action outperforms frantic bursts of effort. Mastery, wealth, and expertise are earned incrementally, habit by habit, day by day. Practical exercises for daily compounding. The knowledge bite: read 10 pages of a finance, business, or skill-building book daily. Micro-investments: invest a small, consistent amount weekly, no matter how modest. Skill practice: dedicate 50 minutes to practice a high-value skill every day. Reflective journaling at the end of each day. Write one insight learned and one action taken to build your future. Decision pause before any spending or career decision. Ask, does this compound my value, wealth, or freedom? The key emotional takeaway is this: small, disciplined actions compound invisible gains today into visible, transformative results tomorrow. They create leverage, freedom, and opportunity. The wealthy don't rely on chance, they rely on compounding. Intentionally applied to every aspect of life. By embedding compounding into daily life, every action, no matter how small, contributes to long-term results. Money compounds, knowledge compounds, skills compound, decisions compound, and the synergy between these elements creates a snowball effect that accelerates growth far beyond what most can imagine. This principle is not theoretical. It is lived by the 3%, repeated daily, quietly. Often unnoticed by the masses, they are patient, they are deliberate. They understand that small steps consistently taken eventually carry them farther than short-term brilliance or frantic effort ever could. Most people think of income as a single stream, their job, their salary, their primary source of money. They rely entirely on that one source, believing that if they work hard enough, it will sustain them. But life is unpredictable. Jobs change, economies shift, emergencies happen. Relying on a single paycheck is like standing on one leg in a storm, unstable, precarious, and risky. The 3% understand this instinctively. Financial freedom requires multiple income streams, each one reinforcing and protecting the others. Diversifying your income isn't just about earning more, it's about creating stability and resilience. Imagine your financial life as a table. One leg is your job income. It might be strong, but if the other legs, investments, business ventures, royalties, passive income, are missing or weak, the table wobbles. A storm hits. A job is lost, an emergency arises, and suddenly your foundation collapses. The 3% don't gamble on luck or single sources. They build a balanced, sturdy structure where multiple streams work in harmony to sustain their financial goals and long-term freedom. You don't need to start with all the legs at once. Small beginnings matter. Start with one side hustle, a small investment, or a passive income project. The key is consistency and growth over time. Even modest, repeated actions compound into substantial wealth. A $50 monthly investment in a low-cost index fund today becomes hundreds or thousands in a few years. One side project developed consistently may grow into a sustainable business. The principle is the same as in previous parts. Small, deliberate actions, compounded daily, produce extraordinary results. Let's consider examples that resonate with everyday life. Freelancers, entrepreneurs, creators, and professionals all have opportunities to diversify. Freelancers might add a consulting gig. Creators can monetize content on multiple platforms. Employees might start small business ventures or invest in stocks or real estate. Each stream reinforces the others, creating a safety net and additional leverage. The 3% think strategically. They don't just chase income, they create it intelligently. But diversification isn't only about money. It's also about skill diversification. Developing expertise in multiple areas increases your capacity to generate income from different sources. A software developer, for instance, might earn from a full-time job, freelance projects, and developing apps or digital products. A marketer could work in-house, freelance, and create online courses. Each skill translates into potential income streams. The intersection of skill and opportunity multiplies earning potential. Now let's discuss mindset. The 97% often fear spreading themselves too thin. They worry about failure, about distraction, about not having enough time. The 3% see the risk differently. They see opportunity, learning, and resilience. Diversifying income is not risky when approached strategically. Each new income source is an experiment, a chance to grow skills, confidence, and financial intelligence. The fear of failure diminishes as small, calculated actions accumulate. Here's an actionable step. Identify 3 potential income streams beyond your primary job. It could be investments, a side business, or passive income opportunities. Break each down into small, manageable tasks you can do daily or weekly. Commit 30 minutes a day to one stream. Over time, these efforts compound, just like money, skills, and habits. The foundation you build now will support exponential growth in the future. The emotional power of multiple income streams is profound. It reduces financial stress, increases freedom of choice, and opens doors to opportunities that single-income reliance can never provide. When one source falters, you have others to rely on. When a risk is taken, it is mitigated by the balance of multiple streams. The 3% do not live in scarcity, they create abundance not only in money but in options, control, and resilience. Diversifying income also reinforces other principles: paying yourself first, tracking, investing in skills, and compounding knowledge. Each principle complements the others. Systems for automation ensure that each income stream contributes consistently. Awareness and clarity allow you to evaluate progress, identify opportunities, and adjust strategies. Every small, deliberate action in one stream amplifies the effects in another, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of growth. Practical exercises to implement immediately. Map your potential streams, list all possible ways to generate additional income. Include freelance work, online courses, investments, or small businesses. Daily investment of time or money. Dedicate at least 30 minutes daily to one of these streams. Consistency matters more than initial scale. Evaluate and adjust weekly, track progress, identify bottlenecks, and reallocate effort to maximize results. Leverage skills across streams. Use one skill to generate multiple income sources. For example, writing, consulting, or content creation can support more than one stream. Automate wherever possible. Use tools to streamline revenue collection, investing, or sales. Automation frees your energy for strategic growth. The principle is clear. Income diversity multiplies freedom, reduces risk, and accelerates wealth creation. The wealthy don't leave their financial security to chance. They design it through multiple streams, strategic action, and compounding efforts. By starting small and scaling gradually, anyone can move from financial vulnerability to financial resilience. Remember, building multiple income streams isn't about greed or excessive work. It's about freedom, security, and control over your life. It is the difference between reacting to life's uncertainties and proactively shaping your financial future. The 3% understand this principle intuitively. They create abundance where others see scarcity, opportunity where others see limitation. Every action, no matter how small, compounds. A small side hustle nurtured consistently, a minor investment added regularly, or a skill leveraged for additional opportunities creates momentum. Over time, these streams converge to build a foundation of financial independence, resilience, and opportunity that supports freedom in all areas of life: personal, professional, and relational. Wealth begins in the mind long before it appears in your bank account. If you have been following the principles from the previous parts, clarity, intentional spending, multiple income streams, you've already built a strong foundation. But there's one element that separates the truly wealthy from the merely financially comfortable: self-education. Most people believe education ends when they graduate from school. They assume that a degree or formal training is all they need to succeed. The 97% stop learning after the classroom, consuming mostly entertainment, social media, or distractions that do nothing to expand their knowledge or capability. They underestimate the compounding power of knowledge. They ignore the fact that what you feed your mind today determines the decisions, habits, and financial outcomes of tomorrow. The 3%, however, invest in themselves every single day. They know that financial freedom and success aren't just about money, they're about skill, insight, and perspective. Every minute spent learning compounds, just like money in a smart investment. Reading a book, attending a seminar, listening to a podcast, or practicing a skill may seem small in the moment, but repeated consistently, these actions multiply your value, decision-making ability, and earning potential over time. Think about it like this: 10 minutes of deliberate learning each day equals more than 60 hours a year. Over 5 years, that's 300 hours, a full month of concentrated study. Now imagine applying that knowledge strategically. That's a compounding effect that not only grows your wealth but also transforms the way you think, act, and respond to opportunities. The 3% understand this principle intimately. They treat learning like an investment, and every day becomes a deposit into their mental bank account. But self-education isn't just about acquiring information. It's about developing mental habits that shape your worldview. The wealthy read with purpose. They focus on principles, strategies, and skills that can be applied to real life. They study those who have already achieved what they aspire to. They observe, question, and integrate what they learn into actionable routines. This deliberate approach creates a mindset of abundance, foresight, and opportunity. Let's talk about practical habits. Start small, start consistent. Even 10 minutes a day can make a difference. Pick one topic that directly impacts your financial life or professional development: investing, entrepreneurship, leadership, sales, or even time management. Read a chapter, listen to a podcast, or watch a video that offers insights you can apply immediately. Then reflect: what can I implement today? How can this improve my decisions, my actions, or my income? Another powerful habit is learning through application. Knowledge without action has no compounding effect. The 3% don't just consume information, they experiment, apply, and measure results. If you learn a new financial strategy, implement it. If you acquire a skill, use it to create value. Small, consistent applications compound over time into mastery and tangible results. This is how mental habits translate into wealth-building outcomes. Self-education also requires discipline and consistency. Motivation fluctuates, distractions are constant, and life throws challenges that make it easy to skip a day of learning. That's why the 3% rely on systems, scheduled study times, automation reminders, and integrated learning routines. They understand that consistency compounds far more powerfully than occasional bursts of effort. Over months and years, these habits shape an individual capable of seeing opportunities where others see obstacles, solving problems where others see dead ends. The emotional payoff is significant. As you commit to daily learning, your confidence grows. Your ability to assess opportunities, negotiate, and make strategic decisions strengthens. You no longer feel powerless in the face of financial uncertainty or professional competition. You begin to trust your judgment, knowing that your knowledge base is growing daily, compounding silently into expertise that is both rare and valuable. Here's a practical daily exercise. The 10-minute knowledge deposit every day. Spend at least 10 minutes learning something that increases your financial intelligence or professional skill set. It can be reading, listening, or observing. Reflection and application after learning. Write down one actionable step to implement what you've learned. Apply it that day. Weekly review at the end of the week. Summarize what you learned, note progress, and plan adjustments. Over time, these practices compound like money invested wisely. The small daily investments in your mind create exponential growth in decision-making ability, creativity, and opportunity recognition. While others chase fleeting pleasure or immediate rewards, you build a mental framework that positions you to act decisively and strategically. The principle also extends beyond money. Self-education strengthens emotional intelligence, resilience, and perspective. Learning how to navigate challenges, negotiate, and influence others multiplies your value in every sphere of life. The more you know, the better decisions you make. The better decisions you make, the more value you create. And the more value you create, the greater your financial and personal freedom. Now consider the mindset shift required. You must see learning as non-negotiable, daily, and incremental. Even a few minutes applied consistently will compound over months and years. The key is to treat knowledge like an asset that grows silently and inexorably, building a foundation for financial freedom and a life of abundance. Finally, knowledge is amplified when shared. Teaching, mentoring, and discussing concepts with others not only reinforces your own understanding, but creates networks of accountability and collaboration. The 3% don't hoard knowledge, they leverage it, multiply it, and in doing so expand both their influence and their opportunities. The emotional impact is profound. As your knowledge grows, fear diminishes, confidence rises, and opportunities become visible where before there were only obstacles. You become a decision maker, a creator, and a value generator. You transform from someone living reactively in the 97% into a strategic thinker and doer in the 3%. Equipped with the mindset, skills, and foresight to navigate any financial or personal challenge. In conclusion, self-education is not optional, it's essential. It is the mental engine that drives every other principle: clarity, intentional spending, multiple income streams, and value creation. The compounding power of knowledge, when paired with action, creates wealth, freedom, and opportunity that accumulates silently but inexorably over time. We've traveled a journey together through 10 essential principles that define the mindset, habits, and actions of the 3%. those who build lasting wealth, freedom, and impact. From understanding that wealth begins in the mind, to paying yourself first, spending with intention, tracking every dollar, creating value, building systems, compounding knowledge, diversifying income, investing in self-education, and finally, leaving a legacy that multiplies impact, each step builds upon the previous. This is not a theory. It's a blueprint for anyone willing to act consistently every single day. The key lesson is simple yet profound. Small, deliberate actions compounded over time create extraordinary results. You don't need a huge paycheck, an instant opportunity, or a stroke of luck. You need clarity in your mind, discipline in your actions, and a commitment to consistently do the right things, even when they feel small or insignificant. Each dollar saved, each skill learned, each intentional decision, each hour invested, and each act of mentorship adds up to create not just wealth but freedom, influence, and fulfillment. And this is where the power lies. Action transforms theory into reality. You can take these lessons and implement them starting today. Begin by paying yourself first. Set aside even a small portion of income for savings or investment. Track your spending with clarity so every dollar serves your goals. Dedicate time daily to learning and skill building, even just 10 minutes, and watch how knowledge compounds over months and years. Identify opportunities to create additional income streams, no matter how small at first, and apply your skills intentionally to solve problems and deliver value. Finally, share what you learn, mentor someone, or teach a principle, because wealth is amplified when it empowers others. The journey isn't easy. It requires patience, persistence, and the courage to delay gratification. You will face distractions, temptations, and days when motivation is low. But remember, the 3% don't rely on fleeting willpower. They rely on systems, habits, and compounding action. They know that success is built quietly, steadily, and intentionally. Over time, these small, consistent choices separate ordinary lives from extraordinary ones. They turn average circumstances into opportunities, limitations into leverage, and dreams into reality. So ask yourself, what is one small action you can take today that your future self will thank you for? Could it be saving that first dollar, reading 10 pages of a book, investing your time in learning a skill, or creating a side hustle? Could it be tracking your expenses, automating a financial system, or mentoring someone with the lessons you've learned? Start small, act consistently, and let the compounding effect do the rest. One day, looking back, you will see how these seemingly minor decisions created monumental change. I encourage you to take a moment now to reflect and commit. Write down one action you will take today, one habit you will start building immediately, and one principle you will implement to create more value, knowledge, or financial freedom. Every step counts, every choice compounds, and every day is an opportunity to move closer to the life you want, the freedom you deserve, and the legacy you can leave behind. Now I want to hear from you. Which principle resonates most with you, and what small step will you commit to today? Share your thoughts in the comments below so others can learn, get inspired, and see how real people are applying these lessons. Your experience might spark someone else's breakthrough. And if this video has inspired you, if it gave you clarity, motivation, or a roadmap to start taking control of your future, subscribe to Daily Spark Motivation. By joining this community, you'll get regular insights, actionable steps, and encouragement to keep moving forward every day. Your subscription isn't just support. It's a commitment to yourself, to growth, and to creating the life you've always dreamed of. Remember, think big, start small, act like the rich. Wealth begins in the mind, grows through consistent action, and is amplified when shared. Every day you choose to act intentionally, you step closer to freedom, impact, and a life worth living. Make your choices count. Start today.